ordered pair is a pair of numbers that is used to locate a point in a coordinate plane. So an example of ordered pair, we've got a set of parentheses here, and then inside of that set of parentheses, I have 4, -2. So 4 is my x, and -2 is my y coordinate. And the way that I tend to look at these is I always think, I'm going to go over to what number, which is my first number stated, my x, and then I'm going to go up or down to the y, or the second number stated. Okay? So when we look at the first question, it says, what are the coordinates of point A? So when I'm trying to identify point A, you're always going to kind of start, or you're always going to start at your origin. You have to go over to 4, so that's our first number, and that's a +4. And then we're going to go down. I know it's not labeled here, but this is our -1 line. We're going to go down to -1, so that would be -1. So our coordinates for A are 4, -1. Remember, it's always over, then up or down. And if you go down, it's a negative in front of it. Okay, so let's try another one. What are the coordinates of point B? So here's point B. Okay, we're going to go over to -2. So that's our first number, -2. And then we're going to go up, so that's a positive, to 3, so +3. And remember, you always start at your origin. So that's why I know, yes, we land on the 3 line, but we also went up 3 blocks. Okay, so I want you to go through and try the next two. What are the coordinates of point C? And then what are the coordinates of point D? So go ahead and pause your video, take a minute or so to go through and get those coordinates, and then restart your video to check yourself. Okay, key thing is when you're checking your answers, make sure that you're not flip-flopping, because that is the most common made mistake. Kids will flip their 2 numbers around. Remember, it's always over 2, then up or down 2. Which number, okay? And if you flip those around, it changes the coordinate or the point as to where it would be. Okay, so we're gonna try the opposite. So last time they gave us the letter and asked us to identify the coordinate. And this time, they're going to give us the coordinates and they want us to go through and plot those points. So just a reminder that we're going to go over to the first number and then up or down to the second number. So for A, and you always start at the origin, for A, we're going to go over to -7. So -7's over here. And then, whoops, keeps coming apart. And then +3. So there's my -7. +3 is going to be right up here. Okay, so there's where A would fall. And that quadrant would be what quadrant? Remember, we're going to start with 1 here and then work counterclockwise. So if that's quadrant 1, A would be in quadrant 2. So you can either write it as Roman numerals or you could say 2. Okay, so let's do J. Okay, so J is -3, -7. So we're going to go over to -3 from the origin and then down to -7. So -3 down to -7. So there's my J. Okay, once again, what quadrant would that be? So if we started up here as 1 and we work counterclockwise, okay, what quadrant would that be? Well, it would be quadrant 3. Or you could just write the number 3. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and on your whiteboards, you guys have your whiteboards that we use in class. Go through and plot Z and M on your whiteboards and practice doing that. And then, so you're going to pause the video, you're going to practice plotting where Z and M would be and identify what quadrant they are, and then start your video back up to check your answers. So you can go ahead and pause your video now. Okay, so make sure you check your answers. If you're not getting them correct, you need to identify, is it because you're plotting them backwards? If it's the quadrant, is it because you're counting them incorrectly? And I know that lots of times we like to work clockwise, but in quadrants, we start in the upper right-hand corner, and then we work counterclockwise for quadrants. Okay, so that's plotting points. Okay, so I'm going to erase this really quick. I'm going to shuffle these off. So never mind if they're kind of in the way, but I'm going to have you go through and actually do a couple more. So on your own, I'm going to slide this down. I want you to go through and plot these 4. Okay, so on your whiteboard, plot the ordered pairs in the coordinate plane. Describe the location of point. So in other words, give the quadrant. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video, plot these points, put the letters next to them, and then start your video up again to kind of check yourself. So you can pause your video now and plot those. Okay, so those those points are plotted and the quadrants you should be able to check also.